My name's Bill Logan. I'm a communist, a gay man, a therapist, and I support gay marriage because I support equality. And I don't think there's any equality unless there's equality in the important things in life. I remember when I was about 5 years old, going to school one day in the bus, sitting next to a friend whose name was Nicky Lidsky, and we were discussing how one day we'd get married. And Nicky said that you had to marry a girl. And I didn't quite understand that and thought that it would be just as good to marry a boy. And he insisted that no, you had to marry someone of the opposite sex. And I remember coming home that night and discussing this over dinner at home. And my parents confirmed Nicky's view that you had to marry a girl. And I remember being quite mystified by this, and my father in a gentle sort of way laughed and said that the police might have something to say about it if I tried to marry a boy. That seemed very strange to me. And I guess that in its way, that incident was one of the early lessons I got, that it was bad to be gay. Kids grow up thinking about a marriage and settling down, and it's a fantasy. But it's an important fantasy. It's one of the myths of our culture. It's linked to fantasies about princes and white horses and frogs, and and there's an attempt by the symbolism that gay people, queer people can't get married, to deny that fantasy to us. And it's an important fantasy because it's a way of ordering ambitions and so on. I actually think it would be far better if we had much more interesting fantasies about our futures. But you're not going to create that by forcing people's fantasies. And the starting point is to allow people to participate in the main cultural forms of society as it is today. Marriage is one of those, and we can't move beyond it until we've experienced this marriage thing. I've been in my current relationship for about 15 years, and we had a civil union a year or two after that became possible. In some ways, when you've been together so long, a special ceremony and a legal status change doesn't seem such an important thing to us, but it was really important to my mum and to my partner, Rangamwana, his relations. It made them feel that they were able to participate in something which was special in our lives, and which made our homosexuality, which is perhaps just a little bit strange to them, made that seem more accessible to them, and it made our relationship kind of something which could be given a name, which I think can be important for people who are a little bit at a distance. The only argument against equality of marriage is that queer people are not equal. that means that the only argument actually requires prejudice. It requires discrimination. It requires homophobia. Any capitulation to the anti-marriage people is a capitulation to the bully, the worst elements of society, and to the nastiest parts of a heteronormative world.